This is the Cube T8. Launched at only $95, this 4G-enabled tablet was designed for those on a tight budget. However, this tablet faces some stiff competition from the many other 8-inch Intel tablets. Does the Cube T8 have any compromises that you should know about? Let's find out. So first, let's talk about the design. For an 8-inch tablet, the Cube T8 is a pretty good size. The bezels around the screen are not too big, and the tablet doesn't feel too thick, even though on paper it's quite thick, at 9.85mm. It's also very light at just 354 grams, making it ideal for long TV or reading sessions. It is a little taller than other 8-inch tablets though. Most cheap 8-inch tablets look very normal, but I have to say that from the front and the back, this tablet looks quite nice. There are also the normal power and volume buttons on the side, and they are decent quality. There are also the usual ports we have come to expect, the headphone jack, micro USB, and micro HDMI. Flipping the tablet over, the rear is a mixture of plastic and metal, and I personally would have preferred an all-metal back, but they needed a removable plastic cover for the SIMs and micro SD card slots. Overall, the design of the tablet is quite good. It looks quite attractive, it isn't too big, and feels high quality and is light. Design-wise, Cube has hit all the right notes on the Cube T8. Let's move on to the display. We find here an 8-inch display with a 1280 by 800 resolution. Many people will find that unacceptable as it's not a Retina display, but thankfully the rest of the display makes up for the bad resolution. For such a low-res display, I was expecting average screen quality, but I was pleasantly surprised. Colors are extremely vivid on this display and without going full AMOLED saturated as well. Contrast is quite good as well, with white whites and black blacks. Even better than the great color and reproduction is the brightness. It goes up to 500 nits, brighter than almost any other tablet I've reviewed so far. The screen is easily viewable in direct sunlight. The glass isn't Gorilla Glass, but it's tough enough. Oh, one weird thing about this display is that the screen feels really sticky, and it might be because the screen protector was on for too long. The only part of the display that you could dislike is the resolution, and even then, everything else makes up for that. Unless you absolutely need a 1080p resolution, this screen will satisfy you, no problem. So let's move on to talk about the speaker. The single mono speaker is located on the bottom of the tablet. I was extremely surprised with how loud and how crisp the sound was. I could hear it very clearly in loud environments, and the quality has a very clear-cut crispness to it as well. Have a listen for yourself, the audio is very good here. So let's talk about the battery life next. Cube has used a smaller 4000 mAh battery in this tablet to power the screen and a relatively low power CPU. Let's see how the battery performs. I don't have high hopes here, but let's see. I first tested the battery by reloading a web page every 10 seconds. The Cube T8 lasted 6 hours and 45 minutes. I then looped a standard definition video until the tablet died. It lasted for 7 hours and 51 minutes. These results are not bad at all. I was expecting much worse results. Even with my heavy use, I can easily get through a day. Watching 3 to 4 hours of TV shows and reading an hour or two of comics, and I have about 15% left. Standby battery life is pretty good as well. Gaming, however, is a lot worse. I can play Hearthstone for maybe 4 hours before the tablet dies. Overall, I am surprised and extremely happy by how good the battery life is. Even heavy users won't have to charge this tablet for a day. Let's talk about the software and performance next. The Cube T8 runs Android 5.1 Lollipop stock. Everything is stock and there is no custom skin on top of it as well, and that is something I greatly appreciate from Cube. Again, I'm very surprised by how smooth Android is on this tablet. It is as smooth as a Nexus 9, which is really high praise, and it's also way smoother than any Samsung tablet so far. The MTK8735 performed very nicely under load, opening and closing apps very quickly and zippy, even intense apps as well. However, just keep in mind that there is only 1GB of RAM, so we can open fewer apps before maxing out that 1GB of RAM. Personally, I would have preferred a tablet with 2GB of RAM, but we'll have to settle for 1 here. So let's talk about the games. I could play intense games easily, even on the less powerful processor, Because the resolution is so low, Deer Hunter ran just fine and less intense games ran great as well. I ran the Antutu benchmark as well and got a score of 20,100 on the low side for the 8735. The Cube T8 has GSM, WCDMA, and LTE connectivity. However, the data bands are not supported in my country, so unfortunately I couldn't test it out. Overall, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth work perfectly fine. The GPS was also pretty good as well. Let's talk about the camera quality next. The camera quality on this tablet is terrible, which is to be expected from Chinese tablets nowadays. And you really shouldn't be taking pictures with a tablet anymore, you should be using your smartphone. But anyways, both the back and front facing cameras are adequate for Skype or Google Hangout calls, but that is all you should be using the camera for. So what is the verdict? Does Cube's $95 tablet deliver? You know what, I don't really have any major complaints about this tablet, except that it isn't as future-proof as other Intel tablets with 2 gigs of RAM. While the MTK processor and the 1 gig of RAM is keeping this tablet very smooth for now, newer Android updates like Marshmallow will make this tablet slow down a lot more, if it gets Marshmallow. However, if it stays on Lollipop, you should be good for a while. Overall, if you want a cheap tablet, this is a pretty good one to get. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below and click on any of the videos that should be popping up right about now.